Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, DLC 3 is coming out. We have Phase 2. We got the patch notes here, so we're going to go over them. I briefly looked over them real quick, and there's some awesome things here, and there's some awesome things still coming. And yeah, dudes, let's just hop straight into it. So today, we're releasing an update for Borderlands 3, which will be out live on all platforms by 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Keep in mind, it usually goes live earlier. I'm probably expecting it around noon Eastern. Because that's when it went live in the past, but by 3 p.m. Eastern, just be patient, guys, it'll be here. So added support for Borderlands 3's third campaign add-on, Bounty of Blood. Now, this is the one thing I want to point out in this hotfix notes, and it says, due to complications related to the ongoing COVID pandemic, only English and German voiceovers will be available at launch. For DLC 3, localized subtitles for all supported languages will be available, but the voiceovers will be added at a later date. And so yeah, guys, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world. So more stuff is going to come with this patch, and I just want to point that out really quick. But there is a lot of awesome stuff in here, and we're going to get more fixes for some of these things. And there's some stuff we actually do need to talk about. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's really get into it now. So they added those 3 new Guardian rank perks. I went over these in previous videos, but I'll read them off real quick. The first one is called Groundbreaker. Melee or slam attacks will trigger an aftershock, dealing 25% of all non-melee damage you have dealt over the last 5 seconds. Dead Man Walking. While not moving and fight for your life, your meter drains 50% slower. And then finally, Lead or Alive. When you enter Fight for Your Life, all your guns are automatically reloaded. These are some awesome new Guardian ranks. So moving on, they fixed some stability issues. Very cool. Next, we have Mayhem mode. They added Mayhem level damage scaling to Melee, Slide, Slam, skill damage scaling, pet damage scaling, vehicle damage scaling, and they also updated several passive skills to properly respect Mayhem level damage. Thank you. Basically, the damage sources above now scale their damage according to the level of Mayhem you're in. Each type of damage is scaled uniquely, so each of these things are going to be scaled differently, and don't worry, we're going to have videos coming out for exactly how much those scale by. And basically, this accounts for how different skills and gear interact with a different type of damage. This is a significant change, and we will be monitoring the community's feedback intently and adjust gear, skills, or damage scaling to ensure that build diversity flourishes. To accommodate this scaling, a few passive skills were updated to use a new form of damage that prevents them from scaling inappropriately. So basically they added, let's just call it action skill damage, but maybe like action skill damage too. So basically they added another form of damage to scale these with Mayhem. And this kind of is going to get into one of the next parts we're going to talk about. Basically, they are adding all this stuff and they're testing it to make sure it works properly, especially with the pandemic going on and stuff. So we are going to get a patch to this patch, guys. So just expect just expect some of your action skills to possibly change again. I just want to let you guys know that up front because I think that is kind of the theme here. And also, like I said, I will be personally testing a lot of this stuff. I'm going to let you guys know, like a video I'm going to post later is before and after of Flex Pets, Rack Attack, Digiclone, like a bunch of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of changes, and this is amazing because, like, dude, I want to use my action skills. Next, added skill damage as a rollable stat on class mods. Class mods can now roll additional bonus skill damage. When paired with the base Mayhem level skill damage scaling, we anticipate builds centered on skills to become viable in late Mayhem. So that's going to be awesome because now we can build, you know, pure action skill builds if we get the right gear, which is a decent request. Added Mayhem levels to grenade mods. Grenade mods drop as weapons do in Mayhem with additional damage relative to the Mayhem level it was acquired in. So now you can go on Mayhem 10, form a grenade, and when you pick it up, it's going to say Mayhem level 10 grenade. Enabled all sources of loot to spawn Mayhem gear. Thank you. Chests, vending machines, mail, mission rewards, and just all the loot that didn't scale will hopefully now scale. So if you guys find anything that doesn't scale, let me know. I will report it as a bug, or you can report it as a bug, and yes. Next, this is the one thing we kind of have to talk about a little bit. Changed the damage source for Remnant. short fuse, indiscriminate, do unto others, and ties that bind to address that they double dip and scale inappropriately at higher mayhem levels. So basically Gearbox introduced this action skill scaling into the game, and all of these skills actually double dipped from action skill damage. If you guys didn't know that, that's basically what's been happening. That's why Ties That Bind is so freaking powerful. And don't worry, it still is going to be, because the next thing they say is, as a result of this change, players will notice that Ties That Bind will not scale properly with action skill damage. This is a temporary fix that will be addressed in a future update. Basically, the thing is, Ties That Bind is already so powerful, and what you guys have to realize is if they put this mayhem scaling into the game, you would be able to start killing enemies with like a level 20 pistol, because it would double dip. So it would get the action skill scaling from mayhem, and then you would shoot an enemy and it would get that like 2 and 3 times. I believe that Ties That Bind combined with Remnant had a chance to double dip up to 4 times. So they will be fixing this. They will be changing it in the future. It seems that they were only made aware of this recently, because if they knew about this before, they probably would have addressed it before, but they are only addressing it right now because they are buffing action skill damage. And I wouldn't worry about this. I believe, like, as soon as they receive feedback on whether, you know, these skills are up to par or not, they're going to change it. So don't worry about this stuff, because they are also directly saying in the patch itself that this will be changing in the future, most likely. Vehicles now scale damage uniformly instead of just against non-vehicles. Okay, great. Addressed a reported concern where split-screen players could not scroll through Mayhem modifiers. Addressed a reported concern where Drone Ranger healing drones sometimes did not replicate position smoothly for clients. Okay, these look like some UI fixes. Boundary issue Mayhem modifier would sometimes persist. Addressed a reported concern that Mayhem vehicle damage scaler sometimes did not apply when players were in the gunner seats. Addressed a reported concern that laser flare would sometimes generate new laser beams when it took damage. Added the ability for Digiclone and Iron Bear to support damage scaling. And alright, there we go. Alright, so next we have some weapon buffs, and these are great. I'm super excited about these. So let's get into it. So basically they put a hotfix out, and this is because they made the patch. They rolled it out basically, and they had some people testing it. So they put these hotfixes out to supplement that. The first fix is that melee and action skill damage was further increased. So make sure your hotfixes are applied, because if they are not, you're not going to be getting your full melee and action skill damage. This is a hotfix, so just be aware of that. Next, we are looking at adjusting manufacturers and weapon types across the board to bring greater parity at the base level between weapons. We're still monitoring balance between legendary gear, but wanted to first address groups of weapons to increase opportunities for weapon builds. All pistols will see a slight increase, with Jakobs pistols receiving the smallest bump, Malawan pistols receiving the largest. As enemy health pools increased, low mag size weapons like pistols become less popular. The damage increase across all pistols should provide more opportunities for builds to equip a pistol to accommodate their weapon choices. Amazing. I feel like pistols really fell off in the last patch, but yeah, let's keep going. We also increased the damage of TD or SMG weapons, because we believe the damage from the thrown weapon would be an integral part of the loop. However, throwing the weapon was impractical compared to shooting enemies with other SMGs. Now the trade-off to throwing at full magazine versus shooting will be more dramatic. So TD or chuck-in sounds like it's going to come in strong with this patch, specifically the SMGs. Probably not the 10-gallon, but we do have the handsome jackhammer. And keep in mind, of those purple TD or SMGs, you can now farm them from vendors because they fixed Mayhem gear. I would expect TD or chuck-in to do something pretty cool on Moe's at this point. Next, COV, Dahl, and Jakobs assault rifles were increased to match some of the Vladoff assault rifles. We will evaluate Vladoff assault rifles in totality after players try the changes to the other manufacturers first. Finally, we increased the damage of our traditional multi-pellet shotguns. Hyperion, Malawan, and Jakobs all receive an increase. Some of these shotguns were underperforming compared to fast-firing weapons, so now they will pack a greater punch. guys, I seriously hope the Stagecoach is back. This buff to Jakobs shotguns we've seriously needed. Along with Maliwan and Hyperion shotguns, so that's very cool. But I am super excited about the Jakobs shotguns, so yeah. And finally, to finish off this video, we have a couple hotfixes for the DLC itself. These hotfixes are related specifically to the DLC. To receive the changes and avoid seeing any of these issues arise, make sure you have your hotfixes applied. The thing you guys have to realize real quick is that they make these patches, they have to get them approved, so usually they test them and then they put the hotfixes out. So seriously, make sure your hotfixes are applied. Removed 2 straggler townsfolk that were clapping their hands at the wrong time. All right, that's kind of funny. Addressed a potential progression blocker where Flack was sometimes unable to grab an important ledge. Oh my god. Stopped Juno from sometimes getting stuck on a walkway, and addressed instances where cash registers would sometimes float. All right, so especially if you guys play Flack for this DLC, make sure your hotfixes are applied. And yeah, so anyways, these are some amazing patch notes in my opinion. Keep in mind, they are going to be spreading out dedicated loot and working on the loot drops a bit more in a future patch, on top of refixing some of the things with ties that bind and short fuse and stuff that double dips and action skill scaling and stuff like that. So yeah, those are all the patch notes broken down for you guys. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like on it and subscribe to this channel for more Borderlands 3 videos. Guys, check me out later. I'll be posting a ton of videos today because I'm super hyped. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. I'm out.